Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking NFL Draft, which is always exciting. This is I don't know, I'm like energized today talking about these players and where they're going. It just, starts to feel like it's becoming more fantasy football season. Then I think I still got like 4 months before the season starts, but hey, still, this feels good. So we're going to jump into this thing. We're going to probably go position by position, talk about, where people landed, what we think, how we feel like, where we rank them. I would go to quarterback, but I have to just go to running back. I have to just start off. I'm not even going to order. I just have to talk about Travis Etienne. Got drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, which means they don't believe in James Robinson just as much as we don't believe in James Robinson. And I shouldn't feel this good when there's a guy out there who didn't lose his job, but he just got some big competition for his job, and maybe a team doesn't believe him, but I feel good about it. I do. I feel really good.
Yeah, I feel good too. And I mean, we might as well talk about running back in general. Yeah. And him, it's an interesting one because I think we might actually disagree with this. I wasn't expecting them to take a top 4 running back with one of their picks. I thought maybe they would give a guy later on in the draft that would at least, push Robinson to be the best player he could be, and then, fill in other gaps. Yep. That's what I was expecting. They go off and get Travis Etienne.
Trevor Lawrence's former teammate. Yeah.
Well, you're using a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
So that they believe in the talent and they're going to use him a lot. Yep. So at very least, all of a sudden, what we talked about as far as Robinson getting the vast majority of the workload, that disappears immediately.
100%.
Not to mention the fact that I just think Etienne is already a better player. And we talked about where Robinson was a good running back. We just didn't think he was elite. I think Etienne has much
the upside.
Much more of a possibility of being a guy that can really take it to the next level. So much so that I know that the question will be, like, in dynasty drafts and whatnot, where does he fall for you? Mm-hmm. And I'll be very honest, Travis Etienne, he was already my number one going into it. And then we had the big discussion about, hey, what if Najee Harris went to Pittsburgh? Mm-hmm. And we saw it happen, and it's amazing. But I think both of them went to very good landing spots for their particular skill set as well. I actually like Etienne better, and I know a lot of people are going to go with Najee Harris, but I actually think that Etienne would be my number one pick in Dynasty overall, like, period, end of stop.
That's tough. It's very tough because, Harris just got himself in a great situation, and it's hard to, discount that. But you got to think Etienne is going to be the guy in Jacksonville at some point. Obviously, Robinson's going to play, and he's going to be there, but I think that at some point the talent's going to win out. And Etienne, with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence for hopefully many years, that could be the difference and make him. It's close though. It would really. I don't honestly know which way I would go right now for dynasty. Fantasy wise, for this year, I'm going to go Harris. This year,
I still go Etienne.
I'm going to go Harris this year.
My big thing is, and Najee Harris is he's a solid running back. I already had I'm skeptical. I'll be 100% honest. I'm skeptical. He fell in a great position. Yep. But I don't really know what Pittsburgh's line is. That's going to be the talking point for a very long time. We're not going to really know until they suit up and you actually get to watch them play. Like, they're going to want to run the ball, right? They always want to try. They bang it out, and they give the lead back usually yes, the bell cow kind of carries, which we love to see.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, really what it comes down to for me is I think Etienne can immediately step in, and I think he'll win in the camp. I think he's going to win it, and he's going to be the number one running back, whatever that looks like for split. I also think they're going to use him a ton in the passing game. And I think with Urban Meyer, he's going to want to do a lot of the kinds of things he did with the running back in the college game as well. Whether or not it works is a totally different discussion. But if he tries to use him like he did with all these other great running backs he's had throughout his coaching career, I think that they're going to get the ball in his hands a ton, and more so in the first half of the year when they're slowly bringing Trevor Lawrence around. So I really love that. I just have this feeling that Najee Harris will have some big games, and he's going to, as soon as they get to the goal line, he's the guy. And it's hard to argue with that. But they still have Big Ben. They have an amazing young wide receiving crew, and I don't know the caliber of the offensive line quite yet. Obviously, that would affect both. But if Najee Harris can't get it going, like if he doesn't have these giant holes, I liked what I saw from the tape and everything. He's very calm and collected. He waits for his blocks to come. He definitely has more wiggle for a bigger guy. But I also saw him running through a ton of big holes, and it's going to be way different.
Yeah.
I just wonder if he's not going to be as strong as just overpower everyone. So I totally understand where everyone's coming from, but I truly believe ETN all the way. That's how much I love the fact. I mean, look what James Robinson did last year.
True.
Their team has gotten better.
And I guess that's the only thing is it is the James Robinson factor that's gonna keep ETN's price down because people don't think it's just gonna go away.
Yeah.
Which he might just go away at some point.
I mean, I think you can use them both, but I think if ETN gets the 60-40, 70-30,
yep.
I think he is going to be very nice fantasy value.
The value is going to be you're going to get a lot better value for ETN than you're going to get Harris. Harris is going to be top 15 easy top 15.
Yeah, and for that one, I think my original thought was if he went to Pittsburgh, I said he'd be low 20, like 22, something like that. I still would put him there. I don't think he moves up.
He's good. Yeah, in the ranks, he's already 13th, and that's probably already 13th.
Already 13th. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, already 13th. Yep, and ETN's 22. So the value you're going to get ETN is going to be much better.
I was going to say
ETN will go higher from this.
Yes, I was going to say ETN already at 22. That's worrisome.
James Robinson's already dropped to 30.
Well, let's be honest, he should.
Yeah.
And 30 is still a starting running back. In some cases. So
then don't draft him. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a rough one, man. I think both of these guys are going to get a little overhyped. There's a lot of guys. I wonder if some of the shine will take off because a lot of guys get forgotten.
Right now, Harris is 2 spots ahead of J.K. Dobbins in the ranks, which I'm not going to go for.
No, hold it. Robinson is?
No, Harris is 2 spots ahead of Dobbins.
Oh, Harris. Yeah, no way. That's the crazy part. So he's probably ahead of
he's at
Cam Akers
and he's behind Akers.
DeAndre Swift.
Akers is 10 now.
Oh my God.
Harris is 13, so followed by Miles Sanders, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift. Josh Jacobs is down to 21. Josh Jacobs is becoming a value there.
Yeah, why would he be that low? Really, because of Drake?
It's Kenyon Drake, I'm guessing.
That's too much.
I think Kenyon Drake's not very good. Kenyon Drake's played good for a couple games in his life. He's not that good, so.
Yeah, no, Wow. Okay. Well, I think things will definitely shake up even more.
But you'll go ETN over Harris right now. I actually do like ETN, but I like how I think it's going to play out better. I think for fantasy though, for this year, I still would go Harris over ETN. But that's what I just ranking them. Maybe I'll do that. Value wise, like I look at you could look at fantasy a couple ways. You can rank certain people in a certain way, but value is everything. If I can get ETN later, I would rather do that, honestly, and rather get more of a sure thing. I'd rather get Dobbins instead of Harris, and then go get ETN later. So in the next round. So that's how I'd like to play that. So those are the main 2 guys, right? Those are the main 2, obviously. Third running back off the board, Javonte Williams. He went to Denver. So actually, I asked this question on Instagram. So I threw a couple of guys out there, 3 guys together, and wanted to see how they would rank them. So we'll talk about these 3: Javonte Williams with Denver, Trey Sermon with San Francisco, Michael Carter with the Jets. So those 3, I think, are kind of, you can bunch them together in a way, but how are they going to play out? Javonte Williams is, I think, the better of the 3 backs. Obviously, I think it's pretty clear to me. But he has Melvin Gordon there. That's the difference. Trey Sermon with San Francisco. I like that fit. I think he can be good. There is Mostert. There is Jeff Wilson. There's a lot of guys there too. If he's given the opportunity, that could be interesting. Michael Carter goes in the 4th to the Jets. He should be the guy, though, in a way. Like, Michael Pirine's there. He's not really anything. He was also a 4th-round pick last year, so I guess it's not that crazy. But Michael Carter might have the most opportunity. But I think Denver drafting Williams still means something, even with Gordon there. They probably just want to recreate having 2 backs like they did last year, right, with Gordon and Lindsey.
Yeah, without a doubt, they're going to try to do that. My worry is, does Gordon become the goal line back?
Yeah.
And if he does, then it really caps what Javonte Williams can do in his rookie season. But yeah, I agree with you. I think he's the more talented of the three backs. Sermon for this first year. I don't see a world where he jumps over the other two guys. You know, what I mean, I think at best he has he's the guy in the rotation, which would be a very good thing for him. But I don't think he would get quite enough touches. Hopefully they throw more than they did last year. So I think that is going to shake things up a little bit. So he would be number 3 on mine. The discussion between being the number 1 running back on the Jets and being the, splitting time on Denver, that is a very interesting one. Do you go with just talent or do you go for the upside? Because I do like what the Jets did, but it does not mean they'll be able to run the ball. They didn't have a whole lot of success last year. They didn't have, they had old legs and whatnot. I don't know. That one is tough for me because I do think that in the right circumstance, I would go for Michael Carter.
Yep.
That is in New York. Because of the giant upside, but that's the scary part is I don't know what to expect out of him.
So dynasty wise though, Javonte Williams obviously over these guys.
Yeah,
I think. It's clear as cut. But I think it probably is for fantasy this year too. I think it just is. But it's not as it's more because I don't think whoever the Jets running back is, I'm not too sold on it right now. We have a rookie quarterback who isn't Trevor Lawrence. They're gonna struggle.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
I see. The thing is, with rookie running backs this year, this is where you might actually finally get value because you can get them late. I think you should be able to get some of these guys late, and it's not going to cost you much, and maybe they turn out, and you can get a keeper out of it, kind of a thing. Michael Carter might go for too much. He's not ranked there yet, but if he's the main guy in the Jets,
where is he ranked currently?
So right now in the early ranks, he's 39th, one spot behind Trey Sermon, who's 38th. Javonte Williams is 28th.
Okay, I was going to say, I would take him over Trey Sermon no matter what. I mean, just
I would too.
The opportunity alone.
But I wouldn't mind getting Trey Sermon in the end of a draft.
Sure. I'm very surprised that he's ranked that high already. Because right now, also I think that a lot of these are not going to be updated. So whatever you think, they're going to creep up even higher.
So he's behind Mostert, but he's ahead of Jeff Wilson. I can see him being ahead of Jeff Wilson. I like Jeff Wilson, but
yeah, I don't buy that one either, really.
Yeah, I just don't think this is a great year for rookie running backs.
I don't know. We watched Trey Sermon, right? I mean, being in the Big Ten and whatnot.
He's good, but
he's. I have very big doubts that he can be anything more than a committee back.
Yep. All right, those three, interesting. I think there's no sure things after those first two. It's not like last year we had 5-6 guys we liked.
No, and we were laughing about this before, but I mean the truth about this situation is this draft, even though I think a lot of teams did very good things, the better players actually got on good situations, and the guys further down did not. They kind of got buried, and that's very unusual. And we're going to see this even for wide receivers. I was very surprised when I you look at it after all the smoke is settled, and I mean, there's not as many shining stars as there were last year or even 2 years ago or the normal.
Yep. So those were the first 5 backs. Then we can go to some other 4th round backs. The next one off the board, God, am I really going to try to say his name? Kune Nwangu? Close enough, right? Nwangu.
Yeah.
Drafted by the Vikings, which he's just a backup to Cook at this point. There's nothing to be expected there. So he's a backup to Cook. If Cook gets hurt, maybe he does something. But right now there is no path for him whatsoever other than injury. So I'm not going to bank on that. Next one's more interesting with New England. Ramondre Stevenson from Oklahoma, good back. There could be an opportunity there, but there's still Sony Michel. There's still Damian Harris. I don't know if New England's sold on any of those guys, though. And you know how they use running backs in New England. Doesn't mean anything good for him fantasy. It means he might have a week or two. He'll play, probably get a chance, but you can't. I mean, you can't draft him. No, it's tough. And then Carolina, Chuba Hubbard. I love this player. I really did. I thought
you're going to back up Christian McCaffrey, and you're just
exactly.
You get buried again.
Yes, if he got the opportunity, I think he could be good. I actually like Hubbard. I think with a right spot, I would have liked him. But this is not the spot.
No, and he'll never get any sort of legitimate, a slice of the pie. That's what you're looking for. Can you carve out a role? But Christian McCaffrey is so darn good that everything what are you going to throw him in on there for pass plays?
Yeah.
No. You're going to have Christian McCaffrey. You're going to throw him in there rushing plays? No. Christian McCaffrey is just a complete player. So same thing with Dalvin Cook or the Vikings drafting a backup for him. Those guys are irrelevant, unfortunately.
Yep. Then next up, this is actually this player might have more fantasy value than some of the ones ahead of him is Kenneth Gainwell, only because he's going to be used differently. He went to the Eagles. Miles Sanders is still obviously Miles Sanders is the main guy, but Gainwell is going to probably be used more. I think he's probably going to be used more, maybe like a Nyheim Hines was. What's his name? Sirianni is the coach of the Eagles. He came from the Colts, and that's how they use Hines. I feel like this is their Hines. This is like his equivalent of Nyheim Hines in a way. He's 5'11", 195. He's probably gonna get some catches. He's not going to take away from Miles Sanders being the lead back. He's going to have some fantasy value, but it's never going to be a lot. And if it's like a Nyheim Hines, he has flashes, but you never actually use him because he does it when you're not expecting.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen.
I'm totally agreeing with you. I think the only slim hope here is the fact that the Eagles have had really bad luck in the last couple of years. Miles Sanders, even himself, he struggled with staying healthy last year. They used multiple backs. Yeah. Maybe he finds a foothold because of that, but I just like Miles Sanders more. I do think that this is, like you said, you're drafting him for a very specific use and to back up Miles Sanders.
And that's the running backs through 5 rounds. After that, it starts to become, they're all backups. It's Elijah Mitchell went to the 49ers. That was their second back they picked. Who, is he going to make the team? Who knows? Gary Brightwell went to the Giants. Larry Roundtree for the Chargers. More interesting only because there's more of a path there, I guess, in a way, because it's just Eckler and Justin Jackson's not really that great, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, once again, health concerns with Eckler. He's definitely the number one guy if he comes back healthy. Does he have
and
more?
Josh Kelly is there too, but he's not
if he
great.
can play the way that Eckler can play, I think that would be. I mean, we talked about it before, but that would really benefit him because if Eckler does go down, then all of a sudden you can go into that slot and you're not trying to go into a Justin Jackson type of offense, which he's a very fine player, but he's a different type of player than Eckler, so you have to change it up a little bit.
Yep. So, I mean, the rest of the guys, obviously 7th round, 6th round, who we really don't know. There's nothing that stands out to me as any kind of good situations whatsoever. So, all right, we'll talk about receivers here. We'll get quarterbacks later because they're not as fantasy relevant. So, receivers. Ja'Marr Chase goes to the Bengals, gets to reunite with his college quarterback of Joe Burrow. So that should be, seems like a good situation. And Chase, actually with him and T. Higgins, I like that. I like that a lot for Joe Burrow. And Chase, he's gonna be a good receiver. He's obviously the number one to me, dynasty and fantasy for wide receiver. It's just. I don't think. I mean, there's no argument to me. I don't.
No.
It's just
100%.
It's clear.
100% agree. Everyone's wondering. They want to see him actually play. But you gave him the best possible landing spot. The only thing, and you're going to hear this to the beginning of the draft once again. It's all anyone's talking about currently is, can they protect Burrow?
Yes.
If Burrow goes down, then everything goes out the window.
Yeah, they didn't draft Sewell, so that's where good for us. Lions,
the Lions did, which
it worked out.
Thank the Lord,
it worked out. But this could be a good connection. Burrow has some. He's going to have some weapons. Chase and Higgins and even Boyd as a 3. That's a good 3 now.
Oh, unbelievable!
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Boyd as a 3 is awesome.
I do have to ask this though because we're both. We both talked about T. Higgins pretty extensively because he very quietly became a very legitimate wide receiver last year. Mm-hmm. What does Ja'Marr Chase showing up do?
Yeah. I don't think it really completely kills T. Higgins in my fantasy value because I like T. Higgins, but I wasn't going to go overboard with him to begin with. So he's still going to probably be in the low 20s, 20, 25. Him and Chase will probably be close in ranks this year, I would say. I mean, Chase is going to jump up above that, but early on, he's probably not going to be that high for me.
Yeah. But
Higgins, it does. I mean, we've seen 2 receivers do well with a quarterback who could be as good as Burrow could be. You still could have both of them be really fantasy relevant. So, I mean, I'm not that down on it for Higgins, honestly. I'm good with it. Boyd maybe more.
Yeah, I agree.
I was never a Boyd guy.
No, I wasn't either, but it definitely does destroy his value.
Yep.
But, I mean, as we saw, just which one is going to be better, Chase or T. Higgins? I still lean towards Higgins, but could see Jamar Chase being able to catch up very quickly because of his rapport with Burrow. But we also saw last year that A.J. Green, he had 100 targets, right? Yep. People forget that. We went over this, but they totally forget that because he just didn't do a whole lot with it. But so you're saying Jamar Chase can step in there, get 100 targets, and not take anything away from T. Higgins. So I'm good still very bullish on T. Higgins, and I think this will only help because I do believe that Jamar Chase, being the bright new toy, will hop him somehow. You know what I mean? So you'll have to pay less for T. Higgins than Jamar Chase, and I'll take that all day. So I think overall it will help. It does cap kind of how could T. Higgins become kind of a prolific type of guy that is getting the kind of targets that only the top guys did. I thought he might be able to jump into that range because if there was no one else there, AJ's gone, him and Boyd, I could see him getting 130, 140 targets. Probably not so much anymore, but he'll still get 100, and he'll, you can do a lot with that.
Yep. Next up was Waddle to the Dolphins, and then Devontae Smith to the Eagles. So this is interesting. Both quarterbacks, I'm not sold on them as passers.
I know.
That's the problem here.
I was really bummed when Devontae Smith went to Philly.
I'm not sold on Tua as a passer. I'm not sold on Hurts as a passer yet. Tua probably is still obvious. I think Tua is the better of the two as a thrower. Hurts I probably like Hurts more for fantasy.
Yeah.
It's weird like that, but I think Tua, I would trust Tua a little bit more.
I don't even know if that's true, to be honest.
Yeah, in both of these guys, I mean, especially Devontae Smith, he's the number one in the Eagles. Waddle, he has Devontae Parker there, but I don't think Devontae Parker is going to slow him down from being the number one either. They both should be the one, honestly, on that team at some point. Yeah, well, I don't trust. Yeah. The receivers or the quarterbacks just don't love it. I don't love it.
I don't either. And the only reason I would like Devontae Smith more is because they desperately need a number one.
Yes, it's more. They need it more. And I mean, Miami still has Parker, like I said, but they have Gesicki too.
And
Philly does have. I mean, Goddard, but it's not the same as the old days of Ertz, and
No, and you need more than one guy. Yeah. And you're hoping that Rager is gonna actually be healthy this year. Their first round draft pick from last year. But Devontae Smith is going to be the guy. He was definitely pumped up to be that. Mm-hmm. I think he's a very good wide receiver. I think he's a good route runner. We'll find out if the big CBs just get their hands on him and can slow him down at all. But I do think that he'll be fine if Hurts can, throw it all.
I'm not sure, though.
Yeah.
And this makes me hesitate, but I think it's going to make a lot of people hesitate, and the value's not going to get overboard with these two, which is okay with me.
I do wonder about Waddle because of the speed. He does feel like a different type of player, but I mean, are they going to use him just in the slot for the majority of the time, you would think?
We'll see. I mean, and hopefully Waddle's healthy after last year. He didn't play like the whole year.
Yeah, so we haven't even seen him go. I don't know. Once again, there's a few guys that landed in perfect spots, and these guys just didn't.
A lot of people didn't this year.
Yeah, and I'll be. To be fair, I was already kind of lower on Waddle than a lot of people. So him going to Miami is not the worst thing in the world. Like, there's definitely worse places to go. I mean,
it's weird. This is weird because this is weird because on paper this should be very good fits. Wow, these guys could step in and be the number one, no problem. It's just I don't love the quarterbacks, but that could change. Maybe they both, this year, all of a sudden, both of them in year two, they look great. Which
sure.
I guess you got two Alabama quarterbacks thrown to Alabama receivers. Jeez, it's just Alabama everywhere. I mean, Hurts went to Oklahoma for a year, but he was an Alabama quarterback. So man, it's all Alabama here. I feel like.
That's a lot.
Yep. And Najee Harris, man, they're all over the place. But yeah, I have to see more on this. I'm not there yet on these two. I mean, the players, I like the players. I don't love the quarterbacks.
No. Which one in, say, Dynasty Draft, who would you take, Devontae Smith or Waddle?
I think I like Devontae Smith a little better.
Yeah, I do
personally. So next up, there was two more wide receivers actually went in the first round. So 5 first-round receivers. The fourth went off the board. Kadarius Toney from the Florida Gators goes to the Giants, which, again, it's a crowded, receiving group here with Galladay. I mean, if he's a first round talent and he's really truly that good, he can vault some of these guys. But we've seen plenty of first round receivers not do anything. So you got Galladay, you got Slayton, you got Sterling Shepard. There's a lot of people. You got Evan Ingram throw the ball to. They got John Ross and Dante Pettis too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, good for them.
No, not those guys, but
sift through it and find out. And then you also have Saquon coming back, hopefully, too, catching balls.
Exactly. So
you have a lot of going on there, and I just don't know how I feel. Once again, I mean, if you want to talk about QBs, you don't really know where they're at. Here's another one.
There's another one. And
Daniel Jones.
This is a tough one for a first round receiver. It's just there's a lot of other guys around.
And I'll be 100% fair to Tony. For me, he got less attention coming out of college.
Yep.
So I'm not as sure of what he's capable of. People really talked him up and everything. But, I think he's a good player. But does he really transcend any sort of these categories? Or, I mean, are you going to have to use him in a very specific way? Is he going to be another slot wide receiver that maybe is more appropriate than what they currently have?
Yep.
Maybe he could carve out a role that way. But in general, I'm not over the moon about a Giants offense in general.
They're really trying to get Daniel Jones some weapons, though.
They are. I mean, they did. If you can't, I mean, maybe they're not as high profile as other teams have. Yep. But Galladay is a very good wide receiver. Evan Ingram can be a very serviceable tight end. We've seen him do really good things.
Yep.
Tony, I mean, only time will tell. But obviously Sterling Shepard too is another one. He just kind of fell out. He just never progressed the way we wanted him to.
I mean, he really could just jump ahead of these guys and just be him and Galladay. It could happen, no problem.
So he's an interesting one. I probably won't be drafting him, but I do feel like he might be the biggest question mark of this wide receiving crew for me.
Yep. So the final first round wide receiver was Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, went to Baltimore, so Baltimore has a few receivers too, but nothing. I mean, Marquise Brown, he hasn't really broken out yet. I don't know if he will. They did sign Sammy Watkins, which, I mean, it's good. You're good for maybe 8 games with Sammy, right? That's about all you can get out of him. They got Miles Boykin after that. So Bateman, he has an opportunity here to step in and play. But again, this isn't necessarily a prolific passing offense. And, Mark Andrews is there as well. So I feel like I'd like maybe his situation. I don't know. The thing is, I feel like he has a better opportunity to have targets maybe than Tony, but I don't know. It's again, I don't love it because Lamar's been okay, but he's not some pure passer that's gonna throw the ball all around here.
No, I'll give him this. I think Rashad Bateman might be the most interesting wide receiver of this. I said Tony was like the biggest question mark because obviously they liked him enough to take him in the first round. They desperately needed more wide receiver help, right?
Yep.
And he is a larger, very athletic wide receiver that's a little more prototypical for a possession type of guy, which I do think they need. And I think that's what they were kind of trying to get for Sammy Watkins, right? Just someone that can get open and Lamar to hit him. So you do have the guys that take the top off. Andrews controls the middle of the field. Now you have these guys that can hopefully kind of operate on the outside and just open everything up. So I really do wonder how raw of a prospect he is. I think he is still pretty raw. And I think the only thing holding him back currently will be the fact that if you aren't quite a finished product, which I don't think he is, then I don't think you'll get quite enough balls thrown your way your first year. But I think as a dynasty option, he's very, very intriguing.
Yep.
But I think he might be a late rounder to stash in this year. If you have a Mr. Irrelevant and you're kind of like, okay, he's the first one off, first one on. I really want to see one game with him to see if he's going to be a starter. A lot will be told over the offseason, but he fell into a very interesting spot. But they run the ball so damn much that it's very difficult to see him getting, I mean, how many targets would you need in order to be profitable in fantasy? You need quite a few. Mm-hmm. And no wide receiver has ever gotten that much look before, and it's always tight end. Is Andrews. He was the only one that was worthwhile. Hollywood Brown, he was only worthwhile because he would take it to the house every other time. So you have 8 touchdowns, but you only catch like 40 balls. Yep. So that's where he kind of stands right now. But he's a very interesting prospect for them.
All right, next up was Elijah Moore, goes to the Jets. So Elijah Moore then has to compete with Corey Davis, who was just signed, Denzel Mims, who was drafted last year, Jamison Crowder's still there. He could, again, these guys aren't blowing you away, but there's a lot of them. And he could jump up there, though. A lot of Elijah Moore comparisons I keep seeing is Steve Smith. He's like Steve Smith, which it's not bad. But
it's great. I mean, I wish.
Not bad at all. He's what? He's 5'9", I think. 5'9", 185. But again, it's not even the fact of these players. If he's talented, he can jump ahead of these guys. Zach Wilson, as year one, we don't know what he is. I don't love it because of that. There's just these could be in the right situations. A lot of these players would be a lot more attractive to me. They're just not right now.
Yeah, and I do like Elijah Moore is, I think, definitely more of a finished product. I do like him, but it's all going to be a linchpin whether or not Zach Wilson is the real thing, like you said. And I do like his ability, but it's very difficult to tell which QB is going to take off in year one and which one isn't.
Exactly. You just don't know. I mean, we didn't know Justin Herbert was going to do what he did last year. We had no idea.
No, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Everyone thought Tua was the next coming, and look at what he was able to do.
Exactly. So Elijah Moore, again, I like the player. This isn't the situation for me right now. So next up was Arizona, Rondale Moore. They picked him in the second, which I was hyping up Rondale Moore. I didn't think he'd be a second-round pick, to be honest. I really didn't see that happening. So this is an interesting one, too. Like, how are they going to use Rondale Moore? It's, they want to they're trying to get Kyler weapons all over the place. And Rondale Moore, though, he's going to catch the ball. I don't know. The way they're going to use him, they might use him like he's going to replace runs. That's really what he's going to do. They're going to do short passes to him, that kind of thing. He has DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk ahead of him. I think he's going to be used differently, though. But they got Chase Edmonds, James Conner. They have a lot of guys around. So I don't know. I love Rondale Moore, but this is an interest. I just don't know how teams plan to use him. That's the thing with him. In this one, there's a lot of guys around.
Yeah, I think it's one of these where it's going to be, and you have a lot of veterans around too.
Yeah.
You're not going to jump over any three of the guys you just talked about immediately.
Right. He's going to be used differently.
He's a shorter wide receiver.
Yeah.
Uber athletic. Unbelievable. You can watch different things about him and watch him as, what is he, 5'7", 5'8"?
They list him as 5'9", but
is he really?
Yeah, okay. I don't know how true that is.
I'm going to say 5'8" because I think that's a lot. 5'8", and he doesn't weigh a whole lot either, but he can squat like 600 pounds. He ran a sub 4.4. He really is a remarkable athlete. But, if you're going to be fourth on the depth chart, whenever we talk about moving people around, using them different ways, hey, you're going to hand the ball off, you're going to throw it to them. Usually that doesn't bode well for them because it means that they don't have a permanent spot on the outside, the slot, whatever it may be. So usually first year that doesn't go well for them because they're not going to get enough touches. And that's where I worry about him. He might be an interesting I don't even know how late you can get him in the dynasty though, because, and that's the thing, is it kind of like you're really going to have to wait and find out. I think this guy is a year away.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with AJ after a year. You don't know what happens with, with a lot of these different contracts that Arizona has.
Yeah.
But he'll have 1 year to kind of prove that he's worthwhile, and then we can really find out. I highly doubt that he's going to be that productive in his rookie season. I'm hoping for some bursts, but once again, I mean, I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer today. But there's a lot of guys that went into really crowded, positional races, and I can't force. I'm not going to force it and tell you he's going to be amazing when I can't see it.
Yep, it's I don't see it yet in a lot of these situations. It's just not enough to go for redraft this year to pick a lot of these guys, and just regular, dynasty's different obviously, but this year it's just not a lot of stuff I see happening right away. So next up, we're still in the second round. We got a few more guys, a lot of receivers here. Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan goes to Seattle, which is again interesting. He has actually more opportunity to get up to like a third receiver role because there's Metcalf and there's Lockett, and the tight end situation is, they got Will Dissly, and that's not overwhelming. So he has an opportunity to get to be a number 3 here real quick, and he's interesting. I've seen some very, all over the place comparisons for him. Seen McCole Hardman, seen Jacoby Ford. Remember Jacoby Ford back with the Raiders? Yeah. But then I've even seen is he McCole Hardman or is he Tyreek Hill?
Right.
But again, I think he's a good player. He's getting another smaller, a lot of 5'9" guys here, another 5'9", 190 guy. But he has more opportunity, I believe, to get there. That's the thing. He actually could be a number 3 in no time, because the other receivers behind him would be Freddie Swain, Penny Hart, Darvin Kidsey. Like, have you heard any of those names other than Freddie Swain? I've heard of Freddie Swain, but these other Aaron Fuller, Cody Thompson, no, we haven't heard these guys. We don't know who these guys are. He right away can be the number 3 in no time. So this makes him more attractive that way. But in fantasy for this year, again, he's a number 3.
I think, he has more, like you said, he has more upside. You laid it out very well. And Seattle, where they like to throw the ball, we have to find out if their line can protect and they can run like they used to. Last year kind of went off the rails there at the end of the year.
Yep.
But when you have Russell Wilson and you have 2 guys and that's it, obviously you're going to have other guys that can slip past them free. And he's not a big guy, but he does everything well. He's 5'9", 190 pounds and runs a 4.38. So he could definitely do some damage if he is the number 3, which I can't imagine you drafting a guy in the second round and not being able to beat out the names that you just mentioned. So I think there's a ton of upside with him. I think he is very interesting, and no one is going to want to draft him, in regular redraft leagues. So he's one you can throw on the end of your bench as well.
So last year in 6 games, they only played 6 games because of the short season. He had 33 catches for 768 yards and 8 touchdowns. So you just double that. Say 12 games. 66 catches for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns. And he had 23.3 yards per catch.
Yeah, and you're doing it at Western Michigan.
Yeah, he's going to be a big play guy. He's going to try to do that too, but maybe he can, I don't know.
Yeah.
So is DK Metcalf, though. There's going to be some weapons there. But I like it.
They love to air it out.
This is a better situation, I think.
Without a doubt.
I'm definitely okay with this one, and hopefully it works out. So next up, we have the Rams picked a receiver, Tutu Atwell from Louisville. Went to the Rams. Gave Matt Stafford another weapon here. That seems, I don't like saying that. But you got Cooper Kupp. You got Robert Woods. They signed Deshaun Jackson. Van Jefferson was drafted last year. We don't know if he's anything or not. There's probably not a lot of room here right away. Woods and Cooper Kupp are very established. Yeah. And even Higbee as the tight end, he's going to get some catches. Atwell, at best, he's going to be like their number 3, like the Josh Reynolds before, Like, he's not going to probably have that much opportunity unless there's an injury.
Yeah, I agree. It's just whatever. It helps the team, I'm sure, but this one is almost a non-factor for me in fantasy.
Yep. So next up, this is a player I actually really liked. Terrace Marshall from LSU goes to the Panthers.
There was a moment where I thought maybe he would fall to the Lions, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to do amazing things. And then he went to Carolina, where I was like, oh, where dreams go to die for wide receivers.
Yeah, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson are their 1 and 2 in whatever order you want to put them. I like DJ Moore, but again, he hasn't been terribly impressive. Marshall could have a shot to get some opportunity here, but Sam Darnold's their quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are you going to get to it? Like, just say Darnold's a quarterback. You're going to be throwing everything to McCaffrey.
Yeah,
anything else should go to DJ Moore.
Yeah,
you're left out in the cold.
And that's the problem. It's Sam Darnold, and it's McCaffrey gets a million catches. Oh, the players I like, I want them to be in better situations.
Yeah, that one hurt watching him. I was like, oh, well, we won't ever find out if he's good or not.
And yeah, don't love it. All right, Chargers picked up a receiver.
Just one time, though. During the draft, I just want to see, it'll be like, in Carolina picks, Terrace Marshall. I just wanted him to be, on TV, be like mouthing curses and just being like, why?
Oh, the Chargers in the 3rd round got Josh Palmer from Tennessee. So they have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and then Josh Palmer, though. They have Guyton, they have Tyron Johnson from last. Those guys are okay, but if Palmer could easily jump ahead of any of them and be the number 3, their tight end's not Jared Cook. This could be interesting, but it's still Keenan Allen is there. It's all about Mike Williams, honestly. If Mike Williams can play, he doesn't get a shot. But if Mike Williams is struggling, if they don't play, Josh Palmer could jump up there. He has a good quarterback in this spot. There's more opportunity here, but again, there's just a couple guys ahead of him that should be established and should take the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, that's a lot of these situations, feels like. Next up, the Washington football team picked, how do you say his name? Dyami Brown from North Carolina. So, who do we got here? We got Terry McLaurin. And what else? What else we got in Washington these days?
Oh, man.
I'll pull up their depth chart.
Yeah,
here. I got to look this one up. I mean, they've had like, a bunch of random guys who were okay, like Sims and Horton and or Harmon. Oh, sorry,
I'm wondering.
Curtis Samuel. They signed Curtis Samuel. I knew there was another guy there.
I feel like is that it?
Antonio Gandy Golden. He drafted him last year. He didn't really do much. They had Steven Sims. They had Cam Sims. They signed Adam Humphries as well, which doesn't mean much.
Yeah, I didn't know that
necessarily. So there's
definitely room.
McLaurin and Samuel are the 1-2. Harmon's been decent. Gandy Golden, we don't know if he's anything.
We don't know, but Gandy Golden should be a year under his belt. I don't know if they even like the guy, but he's got size and whatnot.
They went and drafted a third-round receiver. They might not.
Yeah, they definitely need some more depth, and they're trying to help out their offense, getting it going. Logan Thomas at tight end, he's definitely going to suck up some more because he was very good at the end of the last year.
They're going to be interesting with Ryan Fitzpatrick, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to air it out, right? So they'll be different.
This is one, I guess I would just watch this situation and see, because Curtis Samuel, he's not been a prolific pass catcher.
No, I've never been to be completely fair to him too, I've never been a huge fan, but it's mostly because of the situation he was in. Like, I never thought he was going to jump over DJ Moore when he was on Carolina. And we just talked about Carolina, where I think dreams go to die for wide receivers. So maybe this is the kick in the butt he needs. Maybe this is the new system. You have someone like Fitzpatrick who, he's never the quarterback you want, but sometimes he's just the quarterback you need.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, I'm interested. I don't know what level of play this guy can truly come out with. If he's a little more special than I'm thinking, there could be a lot of opportunity for him.
Yep. All right, next one off the board was the Green Bay Packers picking Amari Rodgers. So, this one should be something we'd be interested in, but who's their quarterback going to be?
Yeah.
Is Aaron Rodgers this is interesting. Like, we didn't talk about that yet. Well, that'll be another episode.
I just feel it kind of makes me feel good. I hope that they do have to trade him, I just want to be like, you reap what you sow.
I hope he goes away,
and now you get Jordan Love,
and hope Jordan Love sucks.
And and this is
sorry.
Even if he was good, you just wasted a Super Bowl possibility for a few years in a row. Like, I have no remorse. I'm also a Lions fan, but no, I mean, good man.
If Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback next year, Amari Rodgers actually could become interesting, because Allen Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, St. Brown, they haven't done it.
No, they've had plenty of opportunities. They have not seized that number 2.
Yeah, he could easily jump over these guys.
He could.
If it's not Aaron Rodgers, though, I don't love it.
No, 100%. If Aaron Rodgers isn't there, you might as well forget about this guy. If he is there,
this is very interesting to me.
Very interesting, but I do have to say, even with Aaron Rodgers, we have found every year we get into this where we're like, who's going to be the number 2? They could win it.
That's true.
He doesn't even need a number 2.
And he might be another.
He might throw 20 touchdowns.
He might be another Valdez-Scantling, St. Brown, but it just might not be good.
Yeah, it just, every 3 games you come up with a good game, and you can't play them from that. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers, it's really going to hinge on him.
All right, here's another situation. Next up, Houston picked Nico Collins. So,
even sadder of a situation.
So, if Deshaun Watson's the quarterback next year, again, this could be interesting, because they got Brandon Cooks, but then you have Randall Cobb as a 2.
Oh.
You have Kiki Cutie, who hasn't done anything. You got Andre Roberts. Nico Collins could jump in here.
Nico Collins could be the number 1 if things fall the right way for him. But but if Watson, for whatever reason, cannot suit up, I don't know if it's going to be another one where I don't think I care. Because I don't think that they'll have a backup that will be good enough. And more than likely, he's not going to be the number 1. That's me thinking if it goes the best way possible. And Cooks has had concussion issues in the past, so injuries and all that could hit. He could be in line for a starting spot for the majority of the year. You never know.
But they might have like Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback.
Yeah. And as much as, dude, good for Tyrod, but whew.
And then they might hand over to Davis Mills, who they just drafted.
I know, that's even scarier.
Yeah.
So I mean, once again, you go to a place where you think you have opportunity, but if it's not one thing, it's another.
Yep, exactly. All right, final third-round receiver was Anthony Schwartz from Auburn. Went to the Cleveland Browns, who have Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, let's not.
Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, David Njoku. There's a lot of guys.
They got so many weapons. It's crazy. Yeah.
Not the situation where you're looking at a guy who's just going to.
Also, you're a run-first team. If Odell couldn't get to the place where we wanted him to, why would I ever think that this rookie could?
Yeah. Next up in the fourth round was Dez Fitzpatrick from Louisville going to the Tennessee Titans. Could be more opportunity there. A.J. Brown's the number one, but then it's Josh Reynolds is basically their number two. No more Corey Davis, no more Adam Humphries or whatever. There's who's their number?
And they don't have Jonnu Smith either, so
they don't have Jonnu Smith. This is
that's interesting.
This is interesting for a fourth round receiver. He actually has some opportunity. Can he play? Is the other he can't just. Opportunity is one thing. You have to be able to play. We'll see if he can play, but this is a spot where maybe there's opportunity here with a decent quarterback who's, he can make it work. So this is one to watch. Next up, the Lions pick Amon-Ra St. Brown. Is that whatever his name is from the Packers' brother, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to start. Yeah. St. Brown, the other St. Brown.
Yeah, I always say his last name.
Now I like this one.
Yeah, I was like, finally we get to it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I truly think that this is the diamond in the rough.
I like the player and I like the situation. Yes. This is the first time I had one of these, I feel like, today. Because all he has ahead of him is Brashad Perriman and Tyrell Williams. That doesn't inspire any confidence.
No.
The team might just be really bad. And Jared Goff, no one might be good, which is very true.
But you know that the line is, first of all, they're the ones that got Sewell. So you should have a pretty good line. You have DeAndre Swift. You should be able to run the ball relatively well. They will have opportunity to throw it down the field. They do have Hawkinson. He's slotted in at the tight end. Great. Wide receiver becomes a big, giant question mark. And this guy is going to be very good in the slot, which I think is going to be much more of who's our new quarterback? Not Stafford. I'm just going to call him that.
Goff.
Yeah. So we have Goff. We're very proud of it. Yay. We have Goff. But look how well he did in the Rams throwing to the slot. He did wonderful. And this guy could be playing all over the field because we don't have anyone that's a guaranteed thing. I like the fact that I think he's not as athletic as some of these other guys, but the guy can catch it. He's got great hands. He runs very good routes. He can play multiple positions as a wide receiver as far as slot or the outside and whatnot. So I think that he is in line for a ton of targets. Whether he does anything with them is a whole nother thing. But just because of that, where that is meeting where the talent and the opportunity are meeting, I think he has to jump up into what I would consider as at least a top 10 wide receiver that everyone's going to overlook. Because right now he's on Detroit and you're thinking, I don't know what people are thinking, to be quite honest.
Yeah. So I like the spot. I like the fit. I think this is one where this guy could actually play. And he's going to have a lot more value than a lot of these guys we just talked about before him. You're going to go way up the board and he's going to have more value than a lot of them. Up till almost first round guys, to be honest.
Without doubt.
Not saying he's better than them necessarily. Opportunities there, and I think he's good. He's a good player.
I don't think there's that big of a difference.
I don't think so either.
I think, you could talk about the first three. After that, it's all about opportunity. And he definitely is going to have it. He has fallen into a great position. And I think the best comparison that I heard, which made me feel very, very good, was who was it? Was it Chris Sims? I think it was Chris Sims. But he said he reminded him a lot of not Robert Woods. Who's the other guy?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, thank God. Just hearing that, first of all, because it does kind of ring a bell as far as, Cooper Kupp did a lot of really good things, but he didn't stand out necessarily in any one thing when you went through the combine and the draft process. So I was like, okay, well, that actually does make a lot of sense. This guy, same thing. He was just a very good wide receiver, but you're not exactly sure. He's not overly fast. He's not overly big. He's not this. He's not that. But he just does everything well. And on top of that, running the slot for the Rams, Goff did very well with him the first couple of years, threw a ton of touchdowns to him. if that's anything like him, you could have immediate success.
Yep.
So I love everything kind of converging on this guy, and you were able to get him later too, which is plus for the Lions.
Yep. So there's a bunch more receivers. None of them have a lot of opportunity here after one to get to St. Brown here. Like the next one is Jalen Darden went to the Buccaneers. He has no chance there.
Yeah, that poor SOB.
So, all right. Tight end, Kyle Pitts. Went to Atlanta. I think that's good, actually, for him.
Yeah.
That's a good spot. I see he has maybe still has Julio. There's been the trade rumors, but you got Ridley and Julio, and then you got a solid, good enough quarterback, obviously. Matt Ryan, he can have his ups and downs, but he's a good NFL quarterback. He's going to make Kyle Pitts going to be good. He's going to be top 10 for me.
Would it be? Yeah, I can see that. Would it help or hurt him if Julio Jones went somewhere else?
I don't know if it makes a difference. I have a hard time figuring out how that would.
I was going to say, you can either say it's going to take.
It probably helps him slightly, but I don't think it.
More targets can go toward him, or he's not going to be the focal point of the defense.
I think it could help him. I think it would hurt Ridley in a way more because there's going to be so much concentration on Ridley.
Yeah.
I don't think it would. I don't know how much it would affect Pitts. I think he'd get more targets. I think he would get more targets. It's not going to change really how he's being defended. Probably.
I think this goes without saying, but what does this mean for Hurst?
Oh, he's worthless.
Is he irrelevant now?
Yeah.
I don't think they picked up his fifth-year option
No,
either.
they did not.
Yeah.
They did not. So he's
doesn't mean he won't be on the team.
I mean, Pitts is not just top 10. He's probably even higher than that at this point. Because the back, like when you get to the end of the top 10, it's pretty weak. I mean, you got Kelsey, you got Kittle, you got Waller, Andrews, right? So that's about 4. Hawkinson, right?
Yeah, Hawkinson, yeah.
Then who else is there? Goddard and Fant. So even if you put those two ahead,
I'll be honest, even Fant.
So you might put Goddard 6, and maybe you put Pitts 7. Like that's how high up he could be. He could be up all the way up there.
He really could. There's a lot of people that are interesting. But yeah, there's no one that's a guaranteed. Even someone I like Gesicki.
Yeah, he hasn't done it.
Yeah, he hasn't really broken out. We're not sure. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry are both on the same team, so you don't know how that's going to shake out. Rob Gronkowski, even though he came on late last year, he is getting a little bit older, and they have a million weapons. They don't have to use him. Tanyan, I'm not a huge believer in. Logan Thomas is very interesting, but once again, I need to see more than just a window of last year. Really, you start going further and further down. He goes up just because he's a guaranteed number one guy, and they drafted him so high, they're going to try to use him. Yeah, we'll find out. Is there anything that could keep him from playing large minutes?
It's just injury.
I don't even think they're going to care if he can block or not.
No, it's just injury. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that'll stop him.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Tight end is going to be a very strange place to draft.
Yep. There's really not many other tight ends to talk about. Pat Freiermuth went to Steelers. He could have a chance to play. He's not Kyle Pitts. And first year tight ends don't do great. He only has Eric Ebron ahead of him, which who cares about Eric Ebron? Eric Ebron's blows.
But you still have Ebron above him, and
that's nothing though. That's worthless.
Yeah, and then you still have the 3 wide receivers.
Yeah,
there's a lot of mouths to feed.
And after that, it's all that was the only tight end in the second round. After that's all third round tight ends. Somebody could do something, but usually not in year one. Not gonna worry about that. So we'll end it with quarterback. There's really not much to go over fantasy wise for quarterback. Trevor Lawrence went to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, I think, can be good. I don't know how good, but he's worth getting at the end of a draft and putting him as your second quarterback. I don't want to be your number one, obviously, but getting him as your second quarterback, there's nothing wrong with that and seeing what he is. I'm good with that.
Do you think anyone has a higher ceiling than he does? Because if you're not drafting him to be your number one, then it doesn't really, you don't need him for the first few weeks anyway. So would you rather have him, Trey Lance, Justin Fields? This one is actually a legit conversation.
So Zach Wilson's, I'm just not interested this year. It's the Jets in that. Trey Lance, I don't know if Trey Lance is going to play right away. I think Garoppolo is going to stick on the team and probably start. I think at the beginning. I really do. I think Trey Lance, I don't think he has enough experience yet. He hasn't played much. No, he played North Dakota State.
No, he hasn't played hardly at all.
I think you need some more. Well, Trey Lance has to sit for a bit.
Maybe, but how long? And
it's not going to be all year.
You have to get him playing time, right?
Maybe.
So at some point, he has to play.
Well, not necessarily. If the 49ers are playing well, with Garoppolo.
Well, they should.
They should be. That's the thing. They should be a
team.
good team. I don't know if Trey Lance comes in and plays right away. It might be a bit.
I know. I just don't know how you manage that expectation with Garoppolo.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be
a strange one.
So Justin Fields is the one where Justin Fields, he definitely could. Yeah, I mean, he's right there with Lawrence probably this year in fantasy. Fields just is interesting.
Is it interesting because he has well, first of all, we're assuming he's going to start, right?
I think
we'll take that off.
He's going to beat Dalton, right?
So he starts. So we'll just assume that, assume that Trey Lance is going to start.
Yep.
Right. So you would have 4 quarterbacks that are going to start. Which one, if like from day one, would you think is worth having on your fantasy roster next year as a QB2? Because none of them are going to be a QB1, right?
Right.
Which one do you think has the most upside?
Out of Lawrence
out of those 4,
Lawrence for sure. It's still Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah. I mean, Fields, he's interesting, but I don't know.
I think he definitely does have, because of his rushing ability.
He does. I mean, somewhat. I mean, he has some rushing ability, right? We seen it completely in college though? They didn't need to do it. That's the thing. He didn't need to do a lot of it. Like last year, only in I mean,
he definitely he
does, but it's not like he doesn't have some crazy yards per carry like you have sometimes. But
no, I mean that's very true.
And he does get some touchdowns though. He's not Lamar Jackson, but
no one's Lamar Jackson.
He's not that.
No one's him.
I mean, obviously he can run, but he's he did have 10 touchdowns 2 years ago. So
I mean, he can run. I mean, okay.
I just don't know.
We've seen, how many times have we seen it where we don't think everyone's going to run? Josh Allen adds a lot of stats on that sheet because he does rush.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes without saying that if you're a mobile quarterback, things will break down and you can kind of, here's 10 yards, here's a touchdown, here's whatever. He does have a good arm. We have no idea how it's going to, his entire game is going to go to the NFL because we never know that. Anyone that tells you they know what quarterback is going to hit, I mean, I think Burrow might have been the most guaranteed thing, and he did pretty well, but
I mean, it is Fields and the possible rushing he can do. That's what makes it interesting.
I like him, and I do think that he has weapons that go well with his characteristics, right? Where you have Allen Robinson, that's a wonderful safety blanket. I mean, that guy that can catch a ton of balls. We both like Mooney. He's a fast guy. Fields has a big arm. You could definitely do it that way. You should be able to run a little bit, even though we're not a huge fan of.
He can run. He definitely can.
Yeah.
He's just. I don't want people to go and think they're going to get Lamar out of this.
No.
And people, I think Lamar is to really increase these expectations. And not saying we're not even getting Kyler Murray.
No, not him either. No,
not getting that. He definitely can run though, obviously, but
yeah, he's somewhere in between.
Yeah, and we'll see. I've seen a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks not really do much, and it's happened a lot. It happens a lot.
I can't name an OSU quarterback that has hit.
I mean, who? What are the last ones? Dwayne Haskins.
Well, yeah, big flop.
Cardell Jones. I mean,
yeah.
I know I'm missing some other bigger names here.
Who am I thinking of? Smith.
All right, here we go. Let me see.
Troy Smith, right?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. JT Barrett.
Craig Kensel.
I
think I might be going too far back.
Troy Smith back in the day. JT Barrett didn't really, or Braxton Miller wasn't even a quarterback by the time it ended.
He went to wide receiver.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
Cardell Jones, like I said. Yeah, it's just you don't have the history here. I mean, the one quarterback they've had that he's going to be good in the pros is Joe Burrow, but he left him.
Yeah. He went. Yeah. How funny is that?
He became good somewhere else. See, it's just let's say here's their quarterbacks. I got the list here of over the last few years where to go. I'm kind of curious about this now. So obviously Justin Fields this past year. Before that you had Haskins, and my thing decided not to load. So you had Haskins before that, JT Barrett before that. You had Cardell Jones before that, and you had Braxton Miller before that. Joe Bauserman started before that. You had Terrell Pryor before that. So there you go.
Yeah.
Troy Smith before that.
They
don't pan out in the NFL, which doesn't mean anything. I mean, he's a different than those guys. It's just the history isn't there right now.
It is always nice to see the history, though, because I think it does equate to some extent. Quarterback is much harder, but when you have that many that went to the NFL and that many that they're overall athletic. I mean, how many of those guys can run and throw?
Yeah,
they could do it all in college.
Yep.
more of a pure passer generally works better in the NFL. Once again, generalizing means nothing. Otherwise, no one would have drafted Lamar and how good he is.
Yeah.
So you don't know, but there's definitely, I mean, that's why he's so interesting. That's why I think he has such a high ceiling. And he could also wash out in a year.
But again, he's another one where you get him as your second quarterback, go right ahead. That's a good move to do. That's definitely a good play.
What is okay, so we went over everyone.
I don't necessarily think he's going to do it year one, though. Like, Lamar didn't really do it till year two. Kyler did it year two. Kyler was better than Lamar, actually, I think, in year one, but it was year two
Lamar didn't even really play.
No, it was later on, but it was year two is like really where these guys become a little better. So
very true. I mean, even Burrow. I mean, he did fine.
But Hurts actually looked pretty good running the ball. He wasn't great as a quarterback, but
yes. And I do think it's a little different too because you can make the argument for Baltimore, right? Yeah. They're kind of a playoff team already.
Yep.
But the Bears are kind of set up. Like, if Aaron Rodgers really does leave.
True.
These other teams are a little bit in a rebuilding mode. Lions are for sure. You do have a couple of superstars on the defensive end. You could do some things, and heaven knows that all of Chicago is going to be behind you because of the lousy job they've done in the past decade with quarterback. Before we go, there's first of all, we didn't really talk about Zach Wilson of the Jets, and you're not interested in him at all. Is it and you said it was because of the Jets, but they have done a lot to get more weapons around him, right? Corey Davis, maybe he hasn't completely shown everything he can do yet, but they did get him. They did, they have enough there now.
Yeah.
Mims, we don't really know. It's a lot of question marks, but I do, his skill set, his arm strength is very interesting.
Maybe we have Justin Herbert on our hands.
Right.
And it's possible.
You're not even going to take the risk.
Nah, not really.
In Dynasty, which one of these guys do you like the most? Besides, I know you're going to say Trevor Lawrence.
It's going to be Lawrence, then Fields, honestly.
Okay.
Probably.
Oh, wow. Even, okay.
I'd probably go Lance, honestly.
I was wondering if you were going to say, if Lance, he has to start, right, eventually.
And then I go Wilson, and then Mac Jones.
Okay. That. And that was the last one I wanted to ask. Mac Jones.
I don't think Mac Jones is going to start right away. I think it's going to be Cam Newton. And that's pretty much, even if he did, who's he throwing the ball to?
True.
So that's where I don't think he's going to do much year one. And that's it. That's the only quarterbacks that matter. After that, it was Kyle Trask was by the Bucks. Kellen Mond for the Vikings. But
we could talk about the Texans as well.
Davis Mills is the one who we don't know what's going to happen there. And I don't even think it would be Tyrod probably to start it. So after that, though, just guys who are going to be backups. Ian Book for the Saints, which could be interesting.
I'm so confused at that one.
Yeah, they got Winston and Taysom, but
maybe they aren't looking at Taysom as a true.
He's going to be the backup, maybe. So
yeah, it was a strange one though. I was surprised to see that pick.
So all right, there we go. NFL draft time. So we'll be back next week with some. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. We'll have some more for you next week. Talk to you guys then.